My name is Dana and I go to Salem Church and I'm a product of Salem Campus Fellowships. I was told to say that. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. Okay, so I'm a product of Salem Campus Fellowship and it was a real blessing in my life because although I was saved a couple of months before I actually went to uni to encounter the fellowship, I caught the fire of God. So I wasn't compromising anymore. I wasn't living my life for me anymore. God became very, very real to me. Although my born again experience, He showed Himself real to me. But the continual fellowship, daily fellowship became real to me when I came to Salem Campus Fellowship. God is not just a Sunday encounter, but He walks with us daily. So that became real to me from Salem Campus Fellowship. My testimony, I dealt a lot with insecurities, low self-esteem, a lot of confidence issues. Also, I had a lot of man drama kind of thing, and obviously issues at home, and just so many different things were going on before I actually gave my life to Christ. But the way I came to Christ, actually, I was a Muslim for 3 days. Sorry, I was. Someone actually spoke to me about Islam, and I was going through a lot at the time. So I was actually looking for love, if that makes sense. So when he spoke to me about Islam, he was very, it's very logical. It's very like, how can God have a son? God hasn't got a wife. So it doesn't make sense how he can have a son. It's very, very logical. But then it didn't need faith to believe that. And we know that without faith, you cannot please God. Well, I know that now. That without faith, I can't please God. Anyway, long story short, I was a Muslim. I converted to Islam on the Tuesday. By the Friday, I was going to go to the mosque, obviously, as you do for Friday prayer. And I was wearing like a mini skirt, like a vest top and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Like, I met him to go. And he was like, no, you can't go into the mosque like that. And I was like, okay. But then, because I didn't have understanding of, modest dressing and stuff like that, so I just took it as, oh, this is enough of rejection. Oh, not even God can accept me, kind of thing. So I went home that night. It was about midnight. And I said, okay, God, I actually want to know you, but I don't know if your name is Allah, Jesus. I don't know who you are, but if you love me, like people say you do, then reveal yourself to me yourself. I want a personal encounter with you. About a month later, I'd forgotten about the prayer, to be honest. About a month later, turmoil in my house again, and my friend invited me to her church. And in the morning I said to her, no, I don't want to go to church, I don't do church anymore. Obviously coming from that whole Islam thing, I don't do church anymore and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. She was probably praying for me, but then at the time I was like, cool, whatever. By the afternoon, I had this big argument with my mom, and I was just like, oh my God, I need to get out of the house. But then obviously my mom being my mom, I couldn't leave on a Sunday without going to church. Like, where are you going on a Sunday if you're not going to church? So I called my friend, I was like, yeah, let's go and everything. I'm not coming with you to church, I just need to get out of the house. So I went with her, and we got to the church. And obviously they were doing their thing. I was just sitting there because I just wanted to be out of the house. I wasn't trying to engage with anything. So I was sitting there and they were like worshiping and all that. I was just looking at people and their hands are lifted and they're crying and all this. I was like, okay, this is a bit silly. But then, so then we came towards the end of worship, and the pastor got up on the altar and he said that he has a message from God for someone. So I'm not used to the whole prophecy thing, so I was just like, what's this guy talking about? Then he starts saying that there's a woman in here who has been battling with the spirit of religion, that someone actually came to preach to her about Islam, and you made a specific prayer to God, and you said, God, I don't know what your name is, I don't know if your name is Allah, Jesus, I don't know who you are, but you want to know who God is and you want a personal encounter with Him. Now, at this time, my mind was doing flashbacks of that prayer I made a month earlier, and I was like, this is strange, oh my gosh, how does he know this? Is he reading my mind? Because I hadn't met this pastor from anywhere, I didn't know him from Adams. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then he was like, he has a message from God that his name is Jehovah, he has a son, and his name is Jesus Christ, and he loves you very much, and he wants you to come home. At that moment, literally the presence of, what I know now to be the presence of God, but at the time it was just like this warm feeling just came all over me, and I'd never experienced it before in my life. This warm feeling came over me, like the presence of God was just all around me. I just felt so much peace, like a depth of love that I was literally longing for. It's almost like God touched a place in my heart that had never been touched. It's almost like the pain, the hurt, the frustration, the low self-esteem, all the things that had been going through my mind, all the things I've been battling with, all the emotions and everything like that. It's almost like God just went there and he just gave me a peace and a depth of love that I had never felt before in my life. And from that moment, and I started crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I wasn't the person that cried. Now everyone that knows me will be like, you didn't cry. No, I didn't cry. Like, I wasn't the person that cried. I used to keep everything in, everything was very much bottled up. But I literally used, like, the dam opened, rivers, streams, whatever, all of it came out at the same time, and I was crying. But in my head I was like, why are you crying? But I couldn't stop myself, and I just felt such peace and such love. And then the pastor said, whoever you are, come forward. And I was like, I ain't going up there. I was thinking, I ain't going up there. Like, in front of everyone crying, no, that's not me. But it's almost like my friend that was standing beside me, she was already standing up, I was sitting down. And it's almost like she looked at me, she saw me crying, and she was kind of like shocked, but then she knew I was having an encounter with God basically. She kind of like encouraged me to go or whatever. She didn't know what was going on, but obviously she knew that there was some kind of encounter going on because I was crying and I don't do that. So she was like, oh, go on, kind of thing. And I was like, no, I'm not going. And then she just left me. And then he was like, come forward. And people started going forward, like, no disrespect, but people started coming forward, and it was like, no, the person, I'm waiting for the person. So then I just got up and I went to the altar. And then obviously they led me to Christ. And then I remember 2 women praying for me against the spirit of religion. And then that day I just experienced liberty. I cannot explain the freedom that I had. It's almost like a yoke was broken, like so much heaviness that was on me was just lifted, and I had never experienced anything like that in my life. It's almost like one encounter with God changed so much about me.
Presence, his love is so thick and tangible.
I'm not saying everything's perfect, you wake up and you're walking on clouds. It's not like that. Obviously you still face challenges and stuff, but the peace I had in my heart cannot be traded for anything. Like, the best thing I've done in my lifetime is to know God, is to give my life to Christ, because there's no one else that I've encountered that I've had that response with. There's no one else that has filled my heart the way God has filled my heart. There's no one else that has given me peace the way that God has given me peace. And from that experience, I started obviously reading the Bible, and the Bible now became interesting to me because you cannot understand the things of God without having a relationship with God. It's almost like a stranger coming into your house and just automatically wanting to understand the rules of your household. They're not going to do it unless they've stayed there for a while, they've spent time with you. They're not going to know how you run your house unless they're there in the house. Do you understand? So I started my walk with God. Then I went to university by the September, this was July, by the September I went to University of Hertfordshire, and then by the October I found the campus fellowship, Salem Campus Fellowship, and I started my walk with God. And obviously there was a lot of help, there was a lot of Bible studying, there was a lot of prayer, there was a lot of love feasts and stuff like that, and love, and everyone was just like-minded, and everyone was young, having a good time in God and all of that.